cell in Facebook. Here we go, it's connecting. Amazing. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Just on time.
And we're good.
Yeah, let me just add this to Gretel. Momentum. Hi everybody, we are live. And today, for the last 4 days or so, you've had quite an earful from me. I've been doing a lot of talking, we've been doing a lot of lives and conversations. So today, I want to hand the space over to 6 of my members who I've invited to speak to all of you so that they can share their stories and share their journeys about their own creative practice and their creative pursuits and their experience of being inside the community called the Co-Create Space, which is my membership. We are now open for people to join. We're not always open. The last time that we were was back in November. And if you join the membership by this Sunday, there is a ton of bonuses that's like priceless value for you guys to enjoy as well. And if you missed the live yesterday, all of the details are in there. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to my members, which are Jack, Miriam, Anna, Stephanie, Philippa, and Rianne. So here are my members, and if you have any questions, just type them in the chat, and then I'll keep track of them. And at the end of these guys introducing themselves, I'm gonna ask them those questions, and we're gonna get all of your kind of doubts, your being on the fence, any of your thoughts and concerns about maybe joining the membership, maybe not joining the membership. Hopefully, this will give you all of the information and all of the context that you need. Okay. So I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to hand over to Miriam. So, Miriam, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're up to, and yeah, just tell us a bit about your creative journey.
Okay, hello everybody. As Rafi said, my name's Miriam. So I started with Co-Create because I wanted to publish my book, and I'd just finished beta testing my beta testing because it's changed so much. I don't know what I called it previous to doing the work in Co-Create. But anyway, I wanted to work with people who wanted to establish their business, but also wanted to do it in a kind of more aligned spiritual way. And so I came into Co-Create wanting to establish that more firmly and to invite new people onto the course. And it turned out very, very early on that I needed to change a lot of things about it, and that kind of came out of Co-Create. Mainly, Rafi helped me to really to get my messaging clear. I'd approached quite a few people in the past to join the new thing that I was creating, that I was beta testing, and I got rejected by all of them. And it turns out that the reason is that my message and the energy of what I was putting out there wasn't clear. So Rafi really helped me to identify that. And so now it's become a completely different beast. And I'm now creating a mentorship that's clear. I'm wanting to work with healers, which wasn't clear in the past. So yeah, I feel like I've really moved on quite a bit, and all in the space of a few weeks. And I think what else. And so in terms of publishing my book, I felt again that the movement since I've been in Co-Create was so much faster than if I was doing it on my own. I've actually decided not to publish my book because it feels like too personal to have out there. but it was all, I was given the opportunity and the space to kind of make that decision. And yeah, so I've loved being a part of Co-Create. It's really good to have coaching with the rest of you guys, because often what comes up in the coaching sessions is relevant to me as well. We talked about perfectionism, one of my biggest Achilles heels, and lots of different themes that are often relevant to everyone else as well. Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I think for me, the most important thing, or the thing that I've noticed the most, is the speed in which things change and the access to information that just wouldn't be there if I didn't have Co-Create. I know I've been able to ask questions about publishing and like some really insider knowledge questions as well. So that's so I'm getting so it's cutting down the time it would take to have to do the research to find out all these things. I'm learning about how to use AI more effectively. Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I'm not just saying that to big up Rafi. I mean, Rafi is actually brilliant, and she really gets to the core of the issue in our coaching sessions so quickly. I once joined at the end of the session. There was like 15 minutes to go. She identified my issue and gave me homework. Do you remember? In that one session, so in that 15 minutes. So yeah, she's pretty efficient and good. And yeah, I'm loving being part of Co-Create. So if you've got a project that you need to get done and you're struggling in whatever way, you'll definitely be able to get unstuck and to flow more effectively if you join Co-Create, for sure. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. Please let me know if you've got any questions.
Thanks, Miriam. I just had a thought, because actually the first time that we started together was in a different container called Project Alchemy,
Yeah, definitely.
which is the 12-week one-to-one. And I gave everybody a little bit of a sneak peek into that, because for this particular momentum round of an event, I gave people a bundle. So if you guys join the membership before Sunday, as well as getting all of the bonus, if you're also somebody who have a big ambitious project and you wanted some closer one-to-one support, I also offered Project Alchemy for a slight discount, or actually it was quite a massive discount, if you join by Sunday as part of your membership. And I was wondering, Miriam, if that, oh,
Oh dear.
okay, it's okay. And by the way, you guys, this is a perfect example, because we are an inclusive space. We have people who are parents, we have people who have 34 dogs, maybe not 34 dogs, but we have people who are in their lives. And so things like this, where your kid walks into the room and you've just got to take care of it, that's all fine. This is something that is part of life, and this isn't a space where you have to put everything else aside and put everything else kind of like out of your awareness, so that you can focus on the work that we're doing here. Obviously some focus time is always important, but life is life. And as I was saying yesterday, creative work doesn't happen in a vacuum, and this is a great example of that. Like Jazzy, who is Miriam's daughter, is part of the membership as far as I'm concerned. So, so that was just like a perfect illustration of what life is like. And when we make it work, we make it happen. The space is here for you, and the things that you bring along with you. So, everything okay with Jazzy, Miriam?
Yeah, she's fine. She's absolutely fine. But
Yeah,
yeah, I did want to say something about alchemy actually, because
yeah,
when I started with you originally, I think you were beta testing it. I was
yeah.
pregnant, like quite heavily pregnant.
Of course you were. Yeah,
I was really pregnant, and I don't know, I think I'd got to like halfway through my book, and
yeah,
I just couldn't get any further.
yeah.
And then since working with you, and then I worked with you and we did alchemy together, and I'd literally finished writing my book days before I gave birth. And I know for sure if I hadn't worked with you in that project, there's no way I would have written the book. And then I worked with you again when I was editing the book, and I got stuck and I couldn't get past it. And then you helped me to get through all the edits again. So yeah, it's been so it's been brilliant working with you. You really have like been able to identify like the core problem, and that in itself was enough to kind of shift the energy so that I could flow and to finish what I needed to finish. So yeah, finished. And you know, I don't know if any of you are writers here, but editing is horrible. It's the worst thing to do. It's the worst part of writing a book.
Yeah,
But I managed to get through it, and yeah, and writing my book while I was pregnant was like, I don't know, a miracle.
yeah. No,
So yeah,
you did amazing. You
thanks,
did
Rafi.
amazing for sure.
You
And
supported me so
yeah.
well.
So guys, that's what Project Alchemy looks like. It's, it's the one-to-one support. The framework that we've been learning this week, the momentum cycle, which will complete the cycle on Friday, which is tomorrow, somehow already. Um, that's obviously something that you can apply on your own, but when you've got a huge project like that, you do sometimes need just that like closer guidance and somebody else to literally just see you, because when you're in it, when you're in the creation process, you kind of get a little bit blinkered and things are just happening, things are coming up, things are coming from all directions, including from inside you. And sometimes, not sometimes, quite often, it's very difficult to see what's what. And so the support of somebody who's just there to listen is is sometimes invaluable. And with the work that Miriam and I did together, like Miriam, you did all of the work. I just sat there and listened. And
Yeah, and helped me and identified the the root kind of problem as
yeah,
well, which was massive.
yeah. So yeah, that's the offering that's there for you guys. Okay, thank you so much, Miriam.
Okay, thank you, my lovely.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jack Oree. I am a transgender and autistic author. I write mostly novels, mysteries about trauma survivors who are finding their voice and speaking out for justice when powerful people want to keep things hidden. Um, and I'm also moving into TV writing. I've written a pilot script for a show called This Is Not a Confession, which is about a woman who's looking back on when she was 15 and she was accused of murdering her best friend and what happened as a result and how her life has been changed forever by this. And I just brought my books in real quick for everyone to see
Yeah,
this is
show us.
my first book is this one is not a mystery, and it's about a 16-year-old girl who after she's sexually assaulted, she reinvents herself and stops being someone so quiet that her friends call her Mouse, and begins speaking up for herself in her life. Um, this is Open Secrets is my first mystery, and it's about a transgender, non-binary, transmasculine person college student, who's investigating the death of a graduate student at their college, and how the administration does not want the truth to come out because it makes the school look bad as a major scandal. And my newest one, Poison in the System, is about a black teenager who was arrested because her friend left drugs in her car, and she's been sentenced to a group home where the girl who bullies everyone is poisoned, and so she's trying to find out what really happened. Um, and while under a threat of, she has to be careful because if she doesn't total lie, breaks too many rules, she could be expelled from the program and sent to juvenile detention for 3 years. So she's got a lot of pressure on her. So those are the books I've written. And I joined Co-Create because I was tired of my work being invisible, and I wanted to be in a community of other writers and artists. And I got to know Rafi, and I loved her outlook. I loved uh, her thoughts as an artist, her thoughts on art, and I was really excited to meet another artist. We're both in a business group where a lot of the people in the group write books, but they write books in order to support their other business. So it was really awesome for me to meet somebody whose business was art, um, and dedicated to artists. And so I think it's a really great group for a lot of reasons. The coaching, like Miriam said, is really strong, and you don't have to be there for the whole session. You can jump in, and Rafi will help you with whatever you need. And I love that's holistic also, because a lot of writing groups are just focused on writing, right? So it's like you can come there and be like, I haven't been able to write this week because I've been dealing with this issue, and like talk about other parts of your life, which I think is something really special that you don't get in a lot of writing groups. Because a lot of writing groups are come and write and come and share your writing, but that's it, you know. So I think, and the other thing is that one of the things that I didn't think about in joining a writing community um, is the connections that you'll make, and not just the friends that you make in the group. Of course, that too, but also Rafi has connected me with several people who are in the screenwriting industry, which is what I want to break into. And that's really invaluable because without that, you know, all the only options would be to pay like hundreds of dollars for a course or ask ChatGPT, what should I do? You know, like this is a much, and so you know, especially if you're interested in in figuring out how to get into a certain type of writing where there's a lot of competition, it's really helpful to have those kinds of connections.
Thank you so much, Jack. And make sure that you put the links to your books as well in the comments, because I'm sure everybody who just saw that are thinking, oh, I want to know what happens to Hannah.
Yes.
They're on Goodreads. I'm just gonna throw that. I've already added them to my list.
Awesome. I'm trying to figure out where you type comments on this on Restream.
I think like, you can send them to me, and then I can pop them in the chat. But
Okay.
yeah, thanks so much, Jack. That's like, and do you know what as well? Like, just as a kind of what I personally love about the community aspect of the group is the diversity of people that we get. Like we have people who we have 4 different time zones that we're dealing with. It's a bit of an administrative hoo-ha, but that's a that's a big kind of like net of people who have very diverse experiences. Jack brings such a unique perspective on a lot of things when it comes to neurodiversity, when it comes to disability, when it comes to trans issues, when it comes to AI. And so really having a group like this, and that's a membership and that's a community rather than just like a one-off course. For me, it's like this is a constant in my life, and the kind of input that you get by being part of a group like this is for me invaluable. I love being inside other people's memberships as well. I'm a member of a few. But yeah, to me, it's like the community that's formed inside this space is as valuable, if not more so, than the coaching, because that's just one aspect of it. The coming together of all of these different people is bigger than the sum of its parts. So thank you for highlighting the community aspect of
Yeah,
this
definitely.
relationship. So, and yes, give us a link to your books. We would all love to read it, I'm sure. Great, thank you.
And
Um,
your video, you did an amazing video as well, Jack.
oh yeah, you did.
Yes.
Yeah, just make sure you stick all of these things in
Oh
the.
yeah, I have a Substack also. Theaterwithjustice.substack.com. Right now, I have 8 subscribers. I'd love to invite everybody to join. Where I write teasers, I write things from my characters' points of view. I write behind the scenes stuff. Um, when I do a Facebook Live, I post it on Substack the next day for the replay as well. So I'll put that in the comments as well, and also I'll give you my Facebook because my Facebook is public. It's the easiest way um, to
Connect with you.
yeah. I can't type it. I can't type it and talk at the same time. My brain was like not doing it.
It's okay. I'll tag you in the chat so people can find you, and then that's your Facebook. Amazing. And this is Jack's Substack. Great. Thank you, Jack. Amazing. Who would like to go next?
I'm going to out now, but thank you, everybody. It was lovely to meet you all. Yeah,
Thanks, Miriam.
later.
Nice to meet you.
Bye, guys. Bye.
I'll jump in. Rafi and I met with the Neurodivergent Writers Lounge. I was running a writing camp, which I do every 6 months, for writers trying to finish their book or starting a book. And Rafi and I talked, we met one-on-one, and we aligned so much on our belief that one person can change the world. We can quite literally start movements. And that's what I do. Is I work with rebel entrepreneurs who are trying to change the world, who are mission driven, who believe that systems should be, quite frankly, fucked up so that we can mess it up so we can do something better and rebuild better. So Rafi and I started talking because we're both creatives and we both have community spaces, and we decided to join each other's community. And I was not I will say this, I was not ready for everything that I was getting with Rafi's community. As an entrepreneur, my sole focus has been my business for several years, and my art has never really been a part of my business. It's just been kind of sitting back on the back burner. And so I write fiction under a pen name, and that has been, just kind of sitting there, not really doing a whole lot. She was on Kindle Vella, and if any of you are writers and know anything about Vella, you know that that's not around anymore. And so my what I joined for was to get that pen name back out of the mix of everything, and kind of put some highlight on her so that I could spend some time being in that creative space every week. And what I ended up getting was a lot more than just my pen name. And I've been painting and I've been sketching. And, those are things that I've enjoyed doing. I picked up painting in 2020. I think a lot of us picked up hobbies in 2020. And it was never something that I thought would bring any sort of revenue. It was just something for myself. Um, and the same with my pen name. But Rafi reminded me that my pen name was bringing in revenue. It was bringing in money to support some of the other areas of my life. And just watching, we have a weekly accountability post where I rarely post anything about my art. I'm always like, I got to get these things done for my clients, and I have to get this thing done for the community. Um, and but just seeing everyone else working on their art and bringing something to the table, and showing up for themselves in their creative spaces, and just kind of having that lesson from Rafi of, you are you going to do this? Like, are you going to show up for yourself? Was super, I guess, powerful and impactful for me to show up for my creative self. And I ended up, yeah, I've never sold a painting before, and I ended up selling 3 commissioned paintings on a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago, and then had to sit down and do them because all of a sudden I've sold a painting that I haven't created yet. And so just giving that courage and that space, and just the confidence to say, yeah, like I can be an artist, I can be a writer, I can be an author, and I can make money from the things that I do. And I think a lot of times that's lost somehow in our very busy, very productive focused, and still quite honestly industrial focused um, society now. So I think that probably summarizes most of what I wanted to say. But I think it's been a very powerful motivator for me to allow my muses in, and to be able to move to a space where, I'm sure my family is absolutely done with it, because I have a cloth draped over my kitchen table, and I have all of my pants and my brushes spread out, and I've just been capitalizing on my dining room space, despite the fact that I have a separate art space. But they'll adjust, they'll be fine.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point. When we commit to what our life is about and what we want to create as the front and center piece of our lives, literally everything and everybody else reorganizes itself to make that work.
Yeah.
And that's not coming from being selfish, that's not coming from a disregard of anybody else's space, that's not coming from that. And sometimes hard conversations have to happen, which is when the coaching sessions can be really useful, because you want to navigate those with sensitivity. And at the same time, it's like, this is my commitment. You're gonna support me or you're not, but this is what I'm doing. And and that's not to take away anything from the other people in your life, which is
Yeah.
a powerful space to take up, and it's literally taking up space.
And I think that's the important piece, even though in my own business with my own clients in my own community, I am very much somebody who's yelling at people, not really, but you know what I mean, reinforcing the idea of you're a whole freaking person. You are like one full person, and part of that person is your creative pursuits. Part of it is fun. And I think a lot of times, especially business owners, we get wrapped up in our businesses and, we're focused on businesses and family. And that's like our two lanes. And we forget that we have this whole other side of us, our soul, our spiritual aspect, and that needs a creative outlet, because otherwise it's not fulfilled. And what the hell is the point if we're
Yeah.
not having fun, right? Like, that's really the whole point. So yeah, I really appreciate the space for myself and my own creative pursuits. And I love also just watching everyone else and what they're doing, and just kind of learning as well on everything that Jack is doing with his books. Like, that was always something that was super important to me, and getting my messages out there and helping people shift throughout that. It's really great. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Stephanie is also one of our co-create facilitators. So our co-create sessions, I think some of you will have experienced them yesterday, where we literally just have 2 hour blocks of co-working session. It's based on the idea of body doubling. So if you're a neurodivergent, this is something that's gonna really really help you. And even if you're not, this probably will help you, because it's just that immediate accountability of, I said I was gonna be here, and I said I'm gonna be focusing on this, and these people have said what they're doing, and they're doing it, and I can see them on the screen doing it, not watching me because they're doing their own thing. And now I just have to stay here and show up and do the thing. And the next thing you know, the 2 hours is up, and you've done what you said you were going to do, which you've been putting off for 3 weeks. So in 2 hours. And so Stephanie is one of our facilitators for that, along with another one of our members called Suzanne Yeda. And part of why we do that, partially so that I'm not spread too thin, because health and well-being is a big element of what we do here as well, but also so that we capture different time zones, because Stephanie is central, Suzanne is Pacific, and so with that we can kind of like cover most of the globe. So if you're wondering if this is for you because you're not in the UK, don't worry about that. Like, that's not a problem. So thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, who'd like to go next? Go for it.
Yeah, I can go. Thank you so much. It's been really interesting listening to all your stories as well, because although we've met, or some of us have met, I haven't heard the stories before. So thank you. I've known Rafi for a while before I came into the group, and we had started looking into some areas, the process of kind of projects before I joined Co-Create, and I did actually start a project, and then when Co-Create was launched, actually what came out of it was quite unexpected for me. It wasn't what I'd expected would come out of it, because for a few years I'd wanted to start up a podcast in my head, and I'd never really taken it too seriously. And usually my creativity is drawn to music, so I'd assumed that when I went into this group, I'd either carry on with the project we'd spoken about before that hadn't had half transpired, or I'd go into some kind of music. But what I found was that there is, and Rafi is an incredible coach, is that there is that kind of sense of community, but also the mass that's in the group helps you see perhaps there is a different path, and what came out of it was that I created a podcast around. I'm so fascinated with other people's um, cultures and the way they live their life and how their cultures are kind of ingrained in their lives and folklore and all these things. And I've been so fascinated with that ever since I was a child. And I talk about that in my intro, which is about when I first went on a small world in Disney and I saw all the different people and all the different dresses and all the different, the way, the different cultures and how everyone's so individual. And I absolutely love that. And so I'm now on episode 7. So I don't think it would actually have happened without joining the group. And it's, it does kept me going. I dip in and out because I do get busy with work. But as Rafi said, it's something that integrates into your life. And I think there's, before I joined, there was always a bit of a story about not having time to do my creative pursuits. And I did actually think that was around more music. And I do have a music outlet, but actually, even doing my podcast, I seem to feel like quite a lot more at peace about that now. And so, and I can feel it if there's too much time between one and the next one. I start thinking, okay, right, I need to prioritize my art again because I've actually let it go. And then I come back into more of the groups that week, and then things start moving again. So, for me, the accountability and the buddying is definitely essential, especially for my neurodiversity. I really need that element, and because that kind of otherwise gets pushed and everything else goes on top of the to-do list. So I've found it really really great being part of the group. And although I don't feel like I contribute as much as other people in the WhatsApp, I do love seeing people when I join the sessions. So, and yeah, there's a tangible output there of not, this wasn't a pursuit necessarily right now of making money. This is kind of, I'm just learning as I go because I've never done podcasting before. And the tangible output is that I have a podcast and I regularly update episodes. And this is since the beginning of the year. And and also there's some that sort of element of feeling more fulfilled as well. So yeah, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philippa. And make sure that you tell us about your YouTube link as well. Put that in
Okay.
the comments so that people can watch. I mean, you've interviewed some really amazing people. Philippa is one of the most like diversely connected people I've ever met. Like, and like, she knows loads like of business people, she knows loads of spiritual people, she knows loads of things about esoteric subjects, she knows a lot about music, she knows a lot about property. It's like if you need someone for something, Philippa is a good person to have in your space. So make sure that you connect with her. And again, this is the kind of connections that you can make in the group that you may not realize that as a resource. You just put a message in the group going, does anybody know somebody who can help me with this? And like someone will pop up, and I didn't even know that that was a thing that they did. So very much, yeah, Philippa is fond of many forms of knowledge.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the podcast's called Moonbeam Musings, and I'll pop the link across to you. Thank you for that.
Amazing. Cool. Rianne or Anna, up to you. Go on
Me?
then.
You? I'll go. Started now. Okay. So, well, I've known Rafi since we were children because we're sisters. So that's an easy one. So yeah, I'm older than her though by 5 years. So I've known her pretty much all her life. From all of the drama that she mentioned about her when she was younger, I've witnessed that. So yeah, I know her in and out in that regards.
Secrets here.
Um, but yeah, yeah, but me and Rafi has taken very different lives. Like, so Rafi is more of a I cannot be employed type of person, whereas I'm the type of person where I need to be employed. I don't know what happened there, but we're very different. Well, I think I need to be employed anyway. So all my life I've been employed, and where I work, well, I still work there. I work in mortgages, which literally is the opposite of creativity. It is like, you know, yeah, there's nothing creative about numbers. I mean, maybe if you're a mathematician, there is, but for me, there isn't. I'm terrible at maths. I don't even know why I have that job. But at the end of the day, I'm there and I'm doing a good job of it for some reason. And for the longest time, I think I was creatively stuck. And well, I say creatively stuck. I just never, I did like art sporadically. Like I would be like, ooh, like suddenly inspiration will hit and I'll be like, oh, I'll start doing this. And then I will kind of commit myself to doing it for a while. And then I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered now because other things. And then it gets left behind. So I have lots of work scattered all over that doesn't really have any meaning, really. It's just aesthetically pleasing or it's what hit me at the moment. Um, so when I joined this thing, this co-create, my sister was just like, "I'm doing this thing. It will be great for you." Of course, because she knows who I am, and I was like, "Well, yeah, she knows me enough to know what's good for me." So I was like, "Fine, let's give it a go." It was pretty much like that. Um, and I didn't really realize how much I would benefit from it until I was in it. And also, just side note, I might be the sister, but I'm still paying. There's no escaping from that. Like, I need to, well, to be fair, I need to help her. She's like, she's starting a new business, and this is all. So yeah, I still have to pay her. I'm not exempt from the rules. So anyway, so I basically jumped in, and then in the journey of trying to discover why I haven't been doing much art, or why I stopped, or why I keep coming in and out of it, I realized that, well, firstly, there's no accountability, and that's one of the things that this group really offers really well. Like you said, in the sessions, you turn up and you're like, I'm going to do this. You've promised to the world that you're going to do something. So you kind of go, I promised it, now I have to do it. And it's not in a negative way, because what I do is all the things I don't want to do, I do in those 2 hours. So I'm like, oh, I need to do this, I really don't want to do it, but I'm like, okay, let's do this and co-create so that I can actually get it done. So I look at the most annoying things about the things I have to do and put it in that session, and that's kind of helped from an accountability standpoint. But I think what's even more important than the accountability is actually finding out more about the reasons why I want to do art to begin with, and also what my purpose is. So this one I did not necessarily within the co-create, but it's in the you the artist, and in there I was able to find out what my purpose was, which is creating authentic connections, and also making people feel that they belong, or reminding people that they belong, because they do. So when I realized that's my purpose, I then suddenly had this, my sister called it funnel, but it is like a theoretical funnel, to kind of go, right, this is where I need to focus, this is where I need to go. Now, at the moment, because I'm kind of, you can say, exploring the new purpose that I have, um, I'm dabbling on a lot of other stuff. So I've started Substack, which I haven't really done. I've done blogging when I was younger, but you know when you do blogging when you're younger, it's a bit ridiculous. So this is a bit more intentional blogging as an adult artist, if that makes sense. I do that every Sunday, and since I've started and committed to doing it, I've done it and I haven't missed a single week, if that makes sense. So I've been absolutely doing that. Even though I've been on holiday for 3 weeks, I still went, right, I need to schedule this so that I'm not missing deadlines. So I'm doing Substack. Similarly, I've decided to do a project for an exhibition. It's a really big one, really ambitious. I've realized I'm one of those people that like to do things in an ambitious way, ridiculously. So now I've got like drying racks in my office that I never thought I'd ever own. So the drying stuff, and then yeah, there's just so much going on with that space. Um, and because I've also had that purpose to kind of like, right, I need to do this because I have a message that I need to put out there. I've applied for a grant. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get it yet. But again, these things wouldn't have happened if I didn't do this course, or I'm not in this membership, because it's the membership that reminds me when I attend, like, don't forget your art. It's a constant reminder. Um, and then I realized as well that art is actually really important. You can't just be logical constantly, because everyone has got a creative, like, part of part of their soul that needs to be nourished. And if you ignore it, you go a bit mental. Literally, that's what happened to me. And then I cried loads, literally cried loads. Everyone will testify to this. I think every session I cried. But yeah, so there was a lot going on. It just like really helps you to be in the right space, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I'm still doing it, and I'm still turning up and just doing more art, and yeah, doing more Substack. I think that's it, really.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I think you came to this space at a point in your life where you were really at a juncture in
Yeah.
one of our bigger conversations. I wouldn't say bigger conversations, but an integral conversation that we have inside the space is health and well-being, because many of you have already mentioned this creative side of you, the spiritual side of you needs to be tended to, needs to be taken care of. That is part of our health. And at the same time, our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health are also essential foundations for us to be able to create. So creativity and health, you can't have one without the other, and it's an integral conversation. And I don't know many people in the online space, in the creative space, having that conversation in the way that we've somehow integrated it into our work together inside corporate space and all of my other spaces. um, and and yeah, so I think it was time for you, and I'm really glad I gave you the I mean, the invitation was pretty straightforward. I just said do this, and she said okay. There was no kind of twisting elbows. And because it was right for you, it was right for you at that time. And so there'll be some of you listening to this where it's like, yeah, like I need the space where I can take care of both my creative self and my health. And if you know anybody else doing that, tell me so that I can meet them.
Yeah, so
So
just to add to that as well, so I've basically got polycystic kidney disease. It actually runs in the family, and I've recently been diagnosed with stage 4 kidney failure, which means that I'm going to need a kidney transplant in the next couple of years or so. And I think that actually helped in funneling exactly what I need to do with my life, if that makes sense. And also, because when you think about health, it's kind of like you think you have forever to kind of do what you have to do, but life is finite, and then you have to think about, what do I prioritize now, what do I have to do tomorrow, what do I have to do today. And as much as I hope that this doesn't reach anyone I'm working for right now, but if were given the choice, I wouldn't work, I would just do art, if you know what I mean. But that's not really feasible at this particular time. So it's not about just suddenly removing your financial obligations. It's also responsibly switching from that to your
yeah.
art. So that's the transition I'm going through right now, where I started going part-time in my full-time role, and then hopefully monetize the art in the near future. But in the minute, I'm just kind of trying to really embrace it without thinking about money too much. It's in the horizon, but it's yeah, so it's one of those things. And navigating around that, it's important to have a community like Co-Create around you, so that you're not suddenly led astray and make like a ridiculous decision saying, I'm going to quit my job, and then next month you're homeless. You don't want to
Mm,
do that either. so
no,
yeah so
I
yeah
don't recommend that. I mean, I did that twice, but I don't recommend it. Just like from both sides, like it's because you to be able to create, your nervous system has to be relaxed enough. Otherwise, you're in fight and flight, and you're going to be creating out of survival. And so then you're going to be focusing on what you think would sell. And that might work for a while if you're the kind of person who needs that kind of pressure to get going. That will work for a while until it doesn't, because then you'll have created a strategy that works for a product that you knew would sell. And then at some point, when it looks like you've made it, it feels just as unfulfilling as not doing it, because it didn't come from a place of empowerment. It didn't come from a place of, this is my art I'm going to put out in the world from my spirit. It became a product. And that's true even of business owners who don't see themselves as artists. If you start like running courses after courses after courses that making money because it's titled really well, like how to go viral on social media, of course you're going to get money, we're going to make money. And even if the contents of that course is legitimate, like, you will be bored shitless because you're doing it for money, not because it's something that your heart is asking of you. And then at that point, you want to work with me one to one, so that's 2K a month. And so, like, if you're at the early beginning stages, or even if you're fairly established, start here. This is the starting point for a lot of people with me. And for some people it is appropriate to work with me one to one, to work in You the Artist, which is a group program. But literally everybody else in all of my other spaces either come from the co-create space, or they end up here eventually. Because this is the one thing that I offer that's week in, week out. There's no beginning, there's no end. We're just here all the time for you, and we're gonna make sure that you have the support that you need to show up for yourself and for your art, whatever that need looks like. You come for what you need. You come for the community, you come for the coaching, you come for the body doubling, you come for the library. Doesn't matter, we're here for you day in, day out. So thank you, Anna, by the way.
Oh, there's something I forgot to say.
Yeah,
Can I
go
just say
for
one
it.
more?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. No,
before I
no, no.
forget.
Go for
Um,
it.
for those people that haven't been exposed to a lot of creativity, that is just exploring their creativity now. There's also a lot of what do you call it? Those sessions where there's a guest speaker,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then they talk about dreams and stuff, all sorts of random topics, and it's a good way to kind of just be introduced to art again.
yeah,
Because like poetry, I never wrote poetry. Probably when I was a kid, I thought I was like emo and I was writing lyrics thinking I was cool. But since then, I haven't written any lyrics in my life or any poetry. So that was a really good exercise to actually write poetry in one of those sessions. So yeah, it's also a really good way to. I just wanted to mention that because that was I found
yeah.
that really helpful and really great, really. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. Amazing. I remember that poetry session. I think it was the first guest expert session that we had. It was with somebody called Melissa Zanga. She's incredible. She's a poetry therapist in training and a poetry teacher. And so we get people like this in. We had a dream work session with Suzanne Edwards, and she ran a meditation, and she just explained a little bit about how dream work works and how we can tap into the power of dreaming to fuel our creative work. And we had somebody come in to talk more strategically about literally what are the steps that you take to get your book self-published. So we have a variety of guest experts coming in to contribute their knowledge and their craft and their heart and their spirits, because I don't know everything. So yeah, good. Thank you, Rian.
Good afternoon, everyone. So yes, my and just to say, I love listening to everyone's journeys actually through co-create. I know I've met some of you. I am in and out of co-create just because I am a full-time nurse, so I am still working on turning something that I like to do out of kind of my hobbies into like hopefully something more. And I think co-create came into kind of the right time for me because in terms of like hobbies, I've always loved creating. I've always loved doing, art here and there. I do dance. I do a bit of, painting. I've done calligraphy as well. I've made, paintings for friends and stuff like that. But just during the pandemic or just before the pandemic, I was into floristry arranging. And from that time in 2020, I've kind of just done it again as a hobby, giving flower arranging families, friends, or like doing it for events and stuff for free because it's something that I wanted to do. But I've decided from last year, I think before co-create, I joined co-create to kind of think of it as something that could turn into a potential business. And I decided to do it with a good friend of mine who she's not in co-create, but we've created like an Instagram page called Nabini Florals, and that only really came about since I joined co-create. Rafi said, just do it, just create a page and just post what you created. And so basically, yes, so that's what we've been doing. Again, with co-create sessions. I think we've talked about it already previously. So with the co-create sessions that we do, again, I'm in and out of it whenever I have the time or I've got a day off from my full-time job. But things that I've done within it is like I've built mood boards during that 2-hour sessions. You're using Canva. Again, as I'm not really techie. So with being in don't use technology a bit more. I've designed floral arrangements during the 2-hour session as well. I've posted content online while I'm in the session. I've even designed our Instagram logo, or our logo in general, during one of the co-create sessions. So I really found that it's kept me stay accountable, especially with the minimal time I have. Um, and it helped me take kind of real steps forward to where I want to go, where I want the flower arranging business to get to go as well. In terms of co-create itself, I I feel like been like a perfect space for me to think about my art or my creativity into something more, something I can turn into a business. I like the fact that I'm surrounded by, creatives. I know I'm the only kind of flower ranger in the space at the moment.
So far.
To everyone and what they do. I think I find it really inspiring. Like they've they've done that I've only thought of, and now they're doing it. Or obviously they've done something that they thought they wanted to do, but actually it just helped them kind of find something else as well that they love. So I think I find inspiration in being in a group of people. So I love going to the group sessions, the coaching group sessions with Rafi. I always feel comfortable sharing my thoughts. And also, I found that with Rafi, like what everyone else I've already said, she gives really good sound advice, and you can tell that she genuinely kind of supports, want to help you and supports you. And I think sometimes the advice comes into um, I don't know how to say it, but like you can just tell that she wants you to just propel forward, and just don't think about the ifs and buts. And again, I'm gonna say it, just do it. Is what I always think about when I go into a co-create session. Um, so oh yes, what I said about the the guest speakers. So I really love going and kind of participate in the guest speaker sessions. I know Rafi's seen me, I've done guest speaker sessions where I create art, in a parking lot after work, because I know it's going to give me motivation, inspiration again. I've done the poetry session just after work. I was in the building in the hospital in the, where people have their food at 7 p.m. at night, just so I can participate and get as much as I can within co-create itself. And I find that it just brings my creativity, and then I surprised myself and I was like, oh, I can make poetry that is heartfelt, within an hour and a half, that I can be proud of. So, and actually I am going to use that poetry into my momentum project that we're doing now. So I'm going to include that in that. So, and actually that gave me inspiration and the type of things I want to include in my zine, which I didn't even know what a zine was until the momentum space. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, momentum.
The momentum. So I think just being part of a create and being immersed into a creative world where I'm usually not, because most of my life is nursing. But it just makes you realize that I am not just my job. I am also a creative in many ways. So, and that's why admittedly, I still to kind of get myself more and more involved. But even coming to today's, kind of conversation with everyone else, it just makes me realize, yep, I need to just keep showing up. And I know co-create is there to keep me accountable. So yeah, that's my experience with co-create, and I'm really happy I'm in it. And I can't wait to see where I get to in Nabini, the floral kind of business, or just creating. Yeah.
Thank you, Rianne. And yeah, Rianne's also a great example of how this works when you have an intense full-time job. Like nursing that's not a 9 to 5, that's like a 24/7. And for those of you who are not in the UK, the NHS is a very unique environment to be in. And so this isn't something that will add more things to your to-do list. That's not what it's about. This is about creating a context that's big enough in your life that it can include everything. So thank you for that, Rayanne. So just a couple of questions, and before we complete, that you might want to pick up from some people who have shared. So a lot of you have answered this already. Actually, let me just have a quick look. Yeah, so one thing we haven't really talked about is visibility, and there's a question here. Have you noticed any changes or any shifts in how you feel about being visible with your work since joining Co-Create?
Yes, I think I kind of discussed that when I was talking about my experience, but um, there is something to be said when we're creating art because it's a piece of ourselves, right? And it is something that is vulnerable. It's something that is fully ours. And I think a lot of times we create something and it's so much a piece of us that we don't want to share it. And while I hadn't really experienced that piece of saying I don't want to share my art, it was just never something that I felt like needed to be shared. It was just sitting on the back burner. It was something I did. I might share a picture of it with someone or, put up a story on my Facebook feed or something like that. And that was it. But at least for me, part of the reason that we stay less visible is because we don't share it. Like we're not excited about it. It's just something that's there. And it's not something that we are like, everybody needs to see this. And the visibility factor for me has really come in of saying, this is something I want to do. And if I want to do it, then I need to inform people that I want to do it, that I want to share it, that it's there, that it's something that they may appreciate too. And that's really what happened with me, like I said a few weeks ago with the networking meeting where I was talking about something completely different. And then I said, oh, I have this other idea that I wanted to start and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And everybody's like, I would buy that. And I want it in these colors and this. And so it was, for me, it was just kind of eye opening because I don't think that I would have felt the urge or the necessity to share that. And even in that call, we had talked about how I had joined 2 creative spaces this year. And, it was never anything that I ever thought, and how I had coached people to leave businesses and their lifelong careers for their art. And now they were making money. And the frustration was that I wasn't doing it myself. And they were like, well, what kind of art do you make? And I'm like, oh yeah, that might help, right? So it's one of those things where I feel like just being in the space, it's not about getting visibility from members in the space. It's about giving you the confidence and the appreciation for what you do and how you do it so that you can go out and share it in a way that's authentic and meaningful for yourself. So, and with that, I'm actually going to have to hop off because I have a client call.
Thank you,
But
Stephanie.
yeah, I just wanted to share that and have a great rest of your life.
See you soon.
Bye.
Cool. Does anybody else want to pitch in with that
I
question?
can pitch off that too. I think it really is what Stephanie just said about um, getting the appreciation. Every time you share something within the group and people are like, that's cool. Like, just like right now when I did my presentation and people in this group, in this roundtable, were excited about my books. That just gives me that little boost where it's like, oh yeah, people do like what I have to say, which is really important because when you do art, if you are trying to get, particularly if you're trying to get people to buy your art or to get it seen in any major way, it's really easy to get discouraged. It's it's really easy to look at your Amazon statistics and be like, one person has bought this in the last 3 months. Nobody cares. So it's really important to have those kinds of moments where you see that your audience actually exists
Yeah.
and to get that kind of support from the group. And I think that's a part of being in a community that's not really thought about. Is just that um, your audience is here.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and we all have an audience. I think there was somebody talking about we were on one of the lives and somebody commented saying I don't have an audience, and then like somebody looked at their Instagram and they're like, you have 4,000 followers. It's like, and even if you had 3 followers, that's an audience. That's how you grow, and no one's gonna know what they're an audience of if you're not showing up and showing them what you do. So yeah, thank you for that, Jack. And just last thing, because I'm aware we're at the hour and I don't want to keep you guys too long. If each of you could describe your experience of being a part of this community in one word, what would that word be? Go
Hi.
for it.
For me, it would be wholesome.
Nice. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
I'd say authenticity.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say support.
Mhm.
It's a hard one now, but I would say uh, I guess accountable is the word that keeps coming up.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. And I also want to acknowledge both Miriam and Stephanie for joining us. I personally really appreciate you taking the time to share your stories. There were a lot of things, like obviously, like I've gotten to know all of you quite well over the last few months since we've been in this space together and since working with you, and so I know what you've accomplished. But and I've always been incredibly proud of what you guys accomplish on a day-to-day basis. But it's quite another to hear like your own perspective and your own lived experience of those accomplishments. And so for me anyway, this has been an incredible reminder of why I do what I do and why I show up. And so I really thank you for your time. And for the people who are watching this and are watching this on replay, please make sure that you check out all of their things. And to make things neat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a separate post with everybody's different things so that you can find all of their socials, all of their websites, and buy their books and subscribe to their Substacks and listen to their podcasts and so on. Because I think, yeah, um, this is the space where we get seen, where we are loved, and where we're recognized for who we are and for the art that we brought into the world. So with that, thank you so much for being here. And everybody else, I will see you tonight at 7 p.m. for our penultimate live session where we're going to talk about today's task and today's element, which is publication. So, thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.